This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so now if you want to understand the DevOps, you'll have to study a little bit of the history of software development lifecycle. Okay, so what I did, I divided into the three sections: the something which we were doing in 1990s, and something which we are doing in 2000 onwards, and then 2020s onwards. So if you look at the 1990s, the software platform which we were using was desktop, laptop, something like that. And that's where we were running applications. And if I ask you, okay, we'll have to set up applications from scratch, having hardware, software, applications, prerequisite, all this thing in place. So in 1990, it used to take one day actually. Okay. And how we were consuming the software earlier? Console based. Console means the Windows console, Linux console, like that. We used to consume the application. So at that time, what was the software deliveries method which we were using? So I don't know how many of you have used the floppy disk, but later on we got a CDs and all, and that is how we used to deliver the software. So if someone will ask, hey, I need this software, I need that software. So you'll simply say, hey, go and get a CDs, buy a CDs, or copyright the CDs, right? So something like that. Copy the CDs, right? So if you look at the 1990s, what was the release cycle we used to have it? Release cycle means how frequently we were able to release the software. So we were able to release the software once in a year. You know the look at this MS Office, Adobe Photoshop. Once a year they will release that. So these were the some of the characteristics which we had in the 1990s about the software industry. Platform desktop, setup time used to take one day, console based consumptions, delivery in series, and release cycle. If you develop a software at that time and you do the release, it used to take 1 year. So at that time, then scientists from the software industries, like computer science industries, they come up and said, okay, let's do one thing. We'll follow the monolithic model. Architecture is monolithic. Monolithic means MS Office, the one which you installed in your laptop, is monolithic, not cloud. Laptop is monolithic. That means hundreds of features you have in the MS Office, but consolidated in one package. Now understand that if there is a one changes you make in that software, you have to thorough the build that entire software, test entire software, and then release the software. So you used to take a lots of time actually. So that was a architecture monolithic. And at that time, what are the development model we followed? Waterfall model. And I'm sure most of you must be aware of it or at least heard about this waterfall model. Are you comfortable, all of you?
Yes. Yeah, right.
Wonderful. Nothing great. Just I'm helping you to remind it because sometimes what happens, sometimes we hear the one technology and without a background knowledge, we started giving lots of importance to that terminology, which we should not do that. Okay. So in order to understand that DevOps, we have to understand this model. So this is the waterfall model. You know that this disadvantage what we had. This was in a sequence. You complete the requirement, then design, then implementation. If you complete the implementation, then verification, and then followed by maintenance. It was in a sequence, linear. That's the reason it used to take 1 year because the requirement you do the 1 month, then design you do the 1 month, implementation you do the 3 months, then verification you do the 2 months, and then maintenance. So that is a linear. It used to take 1 year because of these reasons. And at that time we were putting all the features in one software itself. Let's say you have hundreds of features, put it in one software itself. So at that time the software organization, software company came up with this waterfall idea. They said, okay, we'll do this first requirement, then design, then implementation, and so on. So we will do that this way because they wanted to reduce the quality release of the software, immediate release of software, cost reduction in the development and runtime. They wanted to do that. That's the reason they all follow the waterfall model. Then you'll say, Rajesh, They wanted to improve the quality of the software, so they opted waterfall. They wanted to reduce the release cycle, they opted for waterfall. And cost reduction in a development and runtime, then they opted for waterfall model. That means, are you saying earlier, before 1990s, software development used to happen in a multiple years? Yes, that's true. If you read the history of the software development, lots of software used to develop by USA defense industries and stuff like that. They used to take 7 years, 8 years, 9 years actually. And by the time it is in release process, then requirement is over for the software. So that was the reality. So why we opted for waterfall model? Because of that problems which you had earlier. So now, instead of releasing the software in 5 years, now we are able to do in 1 year. That's a great success actually. Okay. And that's where somewhere that time we got the internet. Okay. So now time has come from moving from console based to browser based. So we got the internet. And what happened after the internet? So we started accessing applications with the browser. So what changes has happened? So then we say, hey, we have to run application in a data center because it's a browser based, right? So earlier you were running application in your laptop and desktop. You were paying for the consuming the CPU and RAM and hard disk, not your not Microsoft or not Adobe system were paying for it. Who is paying? You were paying at that time. But here in 2000 onwards, that the organization like Yahoo or any web-based application which you use, they started paying for that applications. They started because they have to run the application in data centers. That's where the CPU, RAM, and storage, electricity, power, human resources needed. It's not only of the software. On top of the software, they were running the software, and you were accessing the software through the browser, and you are not paying for it. Just recall your memory how much you paid for it. Yahoo, how much you paid for Orkut, how much you paid for the Google searches, how much you paid for any other services. You're not paying. They were making money, but in a different way. So they decided we'll reduce the runtime wastage in the data center. So that is where they migrated from the desktop physical server to virtual server. Now, when you have a virtual server, then you know that how much time it takes to configure the virtual server. Only 5 minutes. How you are consuming the application? Through the browser. How you are delivering the software? Through the deployment in download and all stuff like that. What was the release cycle? 2 weeks. How come 2 weeks? Because that is where the architecture you change from monolithic to SOA. SOA means service oriented architecture, and the model which you opted for it, for it is Agile. So Agile recommend to have a release cycle 2 weeks. So is that something like you were doing earlier in 1 year and now you were doing in the 2 weeks? No, it's not happen like that. Let's say in 1990s you were doing hundreds of feature development in 1 year, but what you did actually in 2000 onwards, you say I will do the only 2 feature development in 2 weeks rather than 100. That's the reason this got reduced. So earlier, remember that in waterfall model, this development team were separate, architect team were separate, testing team will separate, and operations team were separate. But in agile model, what has happened? Development team and testing team, they got it together, and we call it an engineering team. And operations team were still separate in agile model. So guys, are you comfortable with the 2001 words? All of you? Any doubts, any questions, any confusion?
No.
Hello?
No. No. Sir.
Now we'll talk about this third things. So now the question I'm having in my mind, why we move to waterfall agile? If you look at this here, just a second. This is the agile model image. Now those who have no idea about agile, don't stress yourself. Simple way you need to understand. Agile team have consist of development, architect, and QA. No operation involvement in it. Okay, so development and QA at a high level. And agile team will do the delivery every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Not everything they will deliver. Only 1 or 2 features they will deliver in each week. That we call it a sprint. Okay, so that means in agile technology methodology, they work together. Development and QA people work together as a one team. That's called agile team. And then we have a Scrum Master and all this daily Scrum happens and all. So that is the things. Okay, so now why they migrated from waterfall to agile? Same region. Look at the same region. I'm not changing any region. So they wanted to increase the quality of the software again, much more, much better than earlier. And then immediate release of the software. They wanted to see earlier we had a reduced 1 day to 5 minutes, but still we organization want to reduce the release duration, and they wanted to reduce the cost in software development also and runtime also. Runtime means development means office cost, salary cost, all these things. Runtime means your data center cost. Okay, so they wanted to reduce that. Now that is where then we got the internet, sorry, devices, means mobile devices. See, earlier we were accessing the browser through the, what do you say, laptop or desktop. But now we have a devices. Everyone is having devices. I don't think so there's a one person in this session who's not having a devices, Android devices, Apple devices, correct? So how do you access the application? Not any more browser you do. You are accessing through the app. See, if you're not a software engineer, just look at the life of your family members. Let's say your mother, your father, or your someone who's not in the engineering domain, like software engineering domain. So they are only accessing the they have a devices and they have an app. That's all. That is how the consumption is been there. So now we are accessing the application through app, Android devices and all. And if you look at this, the trend here, understand that very simple thing but very deep to understand. We all are connected actually. We all are connected. How? Let me remind you. Earlier, let's say if you use MS Office, you go and buy it from the market and you will install it. You will be the owner of it. You will be having the ownership on that MS Office installed in your laptop or desktop. But now, do you own WhatsApp? No. Do you own Google? No. Do you own Facebook, LinkedIn, ICICI Bank? No. You can't own. You are browsing, and we all are browsing the same application. Don't you think so? Earlier, we see if I have a problem in MS Office, only I will get impacted. Other people will not get impacted. But now, if there is a problem in the Uber, Ola, or ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, Flipkart, then everyone is having problem. Correct now? Because we all are using same software. Correct? All of you? Hello?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So think it's very simple logic, nothing great about it. When we all are using same software, that software has to be up and running 24 by 7. And how come it will be up and running 24 by 7? Simple thing. You'll say, Rajesh, we need to improve the code quality. Wonderful. Then you'll say we need to improve the build quality. We need to have a more better way to test the software. Okay. Then you will say we need to work on the strategies of the deployment. We need to check the security concerns and all. So all these thing parameters will come, correct? So yes, we all are connected to the same software, and if the software is down, you know that what will happen. So organization wants the better quality of the software. Cost of the software should be reduced again, because more and more people are using the software. They're not, paying for it. And the speed, let's say if you access the Uber and Ola, let's say Uber is not responding for 5 seconds, what you'll do? Immediately you'll migrate to Ola, something like that. You know that what will happen. So the company will use you as a prime customer. So that is where the organization started thinking in many other directions also, and they had the same goal. If you look at this, the goal is not change actually. They again wanted to focus on the quality of release of the software. They wanted to immediate release of the software. They wanted to reduce the cost reduction in the development and runtime. Again, same objective all the time. It was there, it is there, and it will be there. The objective is same, only the tool sets and culture and other stuff are changing. Okay, so here if you all are connected to the same application, one version of software, everyone is connected together, and the expectations are 24, it should be 24 by 7 up and running with a no downtime. So what do we do in this case? So now guys, I will ask you this question. Let's say you are in agile model 2001 versus the software development, and you all are software engineers, and that is true actually, you all are software engineers. So what you will do? Where do you run software now? So you should plan for running the software in containers. Now, what is a containers? You need to learn. What is the setup time in a container? 1 second. Yes, I mean it. You want to run one application, 1 second. You want to run thousands of applications, not 1,000 seconds, 1 second only. How? That is where you have to run Kubernetes. Are you understanding what you have to learn? Containers, you have to learn Docker. Setup time, you have to learn Kubernetes, Ansible, Terraform. Are you all getting an idea?
Yes.
Yes, Rajesh.
Yeah. Now, how you are using the application? App based. How do you are delivering? Through store. You want to install application? Go to App Store like Play Store or Apple Store. I'm not a iOS, I mean Apple user, so I cannot comment on that. You guys know better. Okay. So how much release cycle? Can you imagine? 1 hour. It can be lesser than that. So many of you will start fighting. Rajesh, how can you say 1 hour release cycle? That means you are saying planning, coding, building, testing, and deployment. Everything should be done in the 1 hour. How can it be possible? It's possible. Change the architecture of the software from service-oriented architecture. Change that to the microservices. 100 features, 100 functions. You don't need to deploy everything, you don't need to test everything, you don't need to build everything, you don't need to code everything. There's one service problem, only you work on that. And how many code you have in the each services? Maximum 500 lines of code, not a million lines of code in the software. One microservices has a problem, we'll do the release in 1 hour. We'll build it, we'll test it, build code, build, test, and deploy all this thing through the L number of tools which I'll teach you through the microservices. So you have to change that, right? You can't expect everything with a different old mindset, old model, old tool set. You have to change many things. Correct now? So then people started saying that, okay, fine. Then what we call this model? What we call it? A model where we can improve the quality of the software than earlier, where we can reduce the cost of the software, development cost and running cost, the process in which we will change the architecture. By the way, we have to change the team also. So earlier in a monolithic, every teams were separate, dev team separate, architect team separate, QA team separate, operations team separate. In the agile model, dev team and QA team started working together. Operation team were separate. In the 2020s, we have to combine it. Everyone. That means architect team, dev team, QA team, and operations team. All of you have to work together as a team, not a 4 team, but one team. So what we call it this model? What we call it? So any idea what we call it?
It's a
DevOps.
co-
That is called DevOps. So what is a DevOps? What is a DevOps? What is the objective of DevOps? Okay. So DevOps is a concept. Mind it, please hear me out. It's not a tool. Many people say DevOps is a tool. No, it's not a tool. Many people, it's all marketing gimmick actually. Everyone now, you talk to 500 software development companies with 500 development 500 product for managing the software development. Everyone is saying, hey, we are supporting DevOps tool. No, DevOps is a concept. DevOps is a process. DevOps is changing your mindset. DevOps is changing your culture within your software engineering team. Then you say, what process, what culture, what mindset? So the mindset is like this. Earlier, In Agile, Dev and plus QA were working together, and we used to call Agile team. In the DevOps, can a Dev plus QA and operations can work together, share the responsibility? Is it possible? That's a mindset change. You have to change your mindset. Are you ready to change your mindset? And are you ready to work with as a one team? And that's called DevOps team. Have a development initiative owned by owning the development initiative, testing initiative, and production initiative. Everything you are owning. Then that's a mindset change. That's a cultural change in your organization. That is called DevOps. Then you'll say, okay, in order to do that, we have to work on the objective like a quality release, immediate release, cost reduction. So how we will do that? Then that's where the lots of tools are there. So tools like containerization, Ansible, Terraform, Git, Jenkins for CI/CD, Terraform infrastructure coding, and all stuff like that. Then those tools are coming. But before that, you have to change your mindset and culture within your team and yourself, right? Correct, no? All of you?
Yes.
So that's the DevOps. So in order to practice the DevOps, you have to practice. We have to find out the answers. What is container? What is microservices? What is DevOps? What is a CI/CD? What is SRE? What is a DevSecOps? And these are the questions which I'm going to help you to answer it. Okay. So what to do? What to do? So yeah. Any questions, guys? So now organization want this one. See, this is the objective for organization, your company. Why everyone is talking about the why every company is talking about the DevOps? The reason is very simple. They want to improve the quality, release, immediate release, and cost reduction. Simple. Every time this was the objective for the organization. Now, when they want this one, this is the challenge. When you look at your team, then there is a dev team, there's an architect team. Team, mind it, there is one objective, one product, but multiple team. So dev team, QA team, operations team, this team, that team. So many teams, many mindset, many culture, many processes, many practices, many tool sets, and these all are people are fighting with each other. That's the problem. That's a challenge for the organization. So what do they should I mean what they should do so they can everyone integrate in everyone. So there's a multiple team we want to integrate into one. There's a multiple tool we want to integrate with everything. There is a multiple culture and mindset we want to integrate. There's a multiple processes, multiple practices, multiple SDLC phases and all. We want to integrate. I'm not saying I want to wipe it out. I'm saying integrate effectively. How can we do that? How can we do that? That's where then everyone is coining. The whole world is talking about. Hey, let's do one thing. We have a multiple teams. You have a multiple teams. You have a multiple tools. You have a multiple phases, multiple processes, multiple practices, multiple mindset, multiple culture, merge it together and integrate together and bring the DevOps approach. That's model which helps you to integrate everything to achieve the organization objective. That's called DevOps. So look at this here, from waterfall to agile, agile to the DevOps.
Some 5.
DevOps, and you have a DevOps which include development initiative plus or operation initiative.
We have a lot of homework.
Are you understanding, guys? All of you?
Yes, that is doing good.
Yeah. So think simple, guys. DevOps is not something out of the world. It's there because of some
And then 17 and
yes
21.
yes some not
This in correct
Some
order. Have to do that. Okay.
yeah, some noise is coming
We'll
from
do it.
Tofik. I'm muting you. Yeah. So DevOps is something which we have coined the new terminology. Why? Because we are inheriting the properties, just like you inherit your properties from your parents, right? So same way, software organization also inherited certain properties. What properties? The old tool, old concept, old processes, old method, old mindset. Engineers, like some of you, you'll say, let's say you are in a QA team. Okay, this is the I'm just giving you simple example. Let's say you are in a QA team, and your manager will come to you and say, "Hey, can you become a developer?" And you said, no, I've been working as a QA people from last 20 years. I don't want to become a developer. That is a mindset problem what every organization is facing. Suddenly development team is there, and then we manager will go to the developers and say, hey, can you do the testing plus operations also? Development team will say no. That's a problem. That why no? Why is saying no? Because he has inherited the practices from last 20 years or 15 years or 10 years, and he has he has set the mindset saying that he's a developer, he will not do anything more than that whole life. That's a mindset problem, because they don't want to change the mindset. Culture within a team is not changing. That is a problem. To change that mindset, to change the culture, to improve the integration between the teams, so you have one goal rather than multiple goal, and you have one team rather than multiple team, we have to implement the DevOps. And that's the reason every team is focusing on the DevOps. Every team means every organization, and that's the reason you want to become a DevOps engineer. Why? Because organization demand the mind people with the right mindset, right culture, right skill set. Because if you say you are a DevOps, that means you know the part of the development also, you know part of the testing also, and you know the part of the operations also. But if I say we need a developer, then only he is knowing only the development initiative. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say, all of you?
Yeah, Rajesh.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a mindset problem, guys. It's a culture change in your
Mm.
organization. Okay, so I'll just skip some of the stuff. Huh. This is a slides, and which I always use it. So many people say, Rajesh, what I'm supposed to do? See, what you are supposed to do in your project, that I don't know. Okay, because if you join a project, you'll have a certain responsibility which you will get to know after the joining. So how can I tell you what you'll be doing, what is the roles you'll be performing? Okay, I'll tell you, I have joined as a software engineer and I did the auditing work. I joined as a software engineer and I did the coding work. I don't know, after joining only the project will tell you what you are supposed to do. But in this session, all of you must set your mindset. And the mindset is something very simple. I am coding for the function of the software. Are you scared? All of you? From the coding?
I haven't done coding before, so it's something new. Okay.
Yeah. So if you are getting scared, don't need to be. No need to be scared. I'll put it in this way. I said very simple line. I am coding for the function of the software. I did not say write a full software. Function. So software, you have function, hundreds of function, and each function, the spelling mistake, please ignore it while typing it. So each function we call it a microservices. Microservices. Now this microservices, the lines of code, one microservices, one function is equal to one microservices. And how many lines of code you have? 500 lines of code. Only 500 lines of code. I'm just giving you visualization. Now you tell me one thing. What you call yourself? Software engineer. Software engineer. Can't you can't you write this 500 lines of code in your favorite language? I'm not saying learn Python, Java, C++, .NET, PHP, Ruby, Scala. I'm not saying. You select any language which you like it and write this 500 lines of code. Okay, lines of code which will serve the one function, and we'll have a four method. Which four method? Create method, read method, delete method, update edit method, and delete. Correct. Update method and delete method. Can't you do that as a software engineer? Delete method. Just 500 lines of code. Only one function. Can't you write four method in your lifetime? And then can't you write this code? Can't you compile this, build this code? How much time it take to build the 500 lines of code? Only 30 seconds. I mean it. How many times it has unit testing? Only 1 second. 1 minute. 1 minute. How many times it has taken for the package? Only 1 minute. How many times of running the acceptance testing, automated testing? 5 minutes. Only this functionality you have to test. How many times you have to deploy to the production using the container deployment? Only 1 second. So tell me how much time you have spent. Only 500 lines of code, only four method, one function, and these are the things. So overall, can't you do the release in 10 minutes? Tell me. Is it difficult? All of you? What do you think? All of you? Just vote for it in the chat window. Are you setting your mindset or not?
Yeah.
It's all about this. Just set your mindset today. How much? See, we all are struggling. Even I have struggled. It's not like I'm a Superman. I have struggled many years, to be honest, just to set my mindset. What should I do? And the moment I set the mindset, every problem is gone. I said I'm ready for everything. I'm ready for everything. So no, what work you get, I don't know. But in this course, I'll teach you almost everything. That's the reason again I'm showing you. Here I am showing you for everything from scratch. You have to understand the concept, operating system, platform, different platform. This will help you in 1 day. This will help you in 5 minutes. This will help you in 1 second. Mind it. Correlate that discussion. This you have to learn programming here. You need to write 500 lines of code, only four function. How much time is to take to build, test, this, that, and all? 5 minutes. You need to store the code here. You need to scan the code here for code analysis. You have to build the code here. You have to package the code and store, archive the code here. You have to test that code which you written, and you have to deploy the code using the Ansible and Kubernetes. You can write a code for infrastructure. You have to set up the CI/CD, and after that, you need to monitor all this stuff. If you want to become more expertise, then SRE and DevSecOps and MD already I discussed. So did you understand that? How did I plan, all of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So important thing, change your mindset. It's you will change the mindset. So from now onwards, let's as a team, as a group together, let's say that, hey, I am a DevOps engineer. I am DevOps engineer. I am ready to code for the function of the software. I am a DevOps engineer. I'm ready for the code for the testing the function of the software. Mind it. Testing. Here you're writing the code for the product. Here you're writing the code for the testing the product. And also you should be ready for the coding for infra means Ansible, Terraform. CI means Jenkins. CD means Argo CD and Helm packages. Integration means Jenkins. Operations means multiple tools. SRE, which I talked about, multiple tools for building and running the software. So you have to write the code everywhere. Don't get scared. All are very simple. The challenge, the biggest problem what you have is your mindset. You are the problem. You are not able to inform your mind saying that, hey, what's the big deal? Just a few lines of code. I need to just sit 6 to 10 hours of things. Why am I struggling from last 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years? I will just sit for a few hours and fix this problem forever in my lifetime. Because all these things are easy to learn. Trust me. So here, I'm not here to make you expert. The only thing is like your journey, the one which you are not starting from last many years, I will start your journey in an easy way. Easy. I'll not teach you anything. I'll just make the things easier for you so you will learn yourself. Okay, so set your mindset, guys. So now let me ask you, how many of you are in this session are ready to do the coding for the function of the software, or writing the coding for the testing the function of the software, or coding for infra, CI, CD, DevOps, integration, SRE, whatever, security and whatever it is? Can you please put it in the chat window? I just want to count it. How many of you are ready? Yeah, I'm
Hello,
counting.
Rajesh.
Yes.
I wanted to ask that in DevOps, networking concepts also important to learn, or
Yes.
it is not necessary.
No, no, everything. See, networking, we have to learn, we need to know. But the networking what you have today, see, I'll tell you, understanding is very important, but implementation is just a one click. For example, if you go to the AWS, if you create a
Okay,
VPC, there's a networking services, within a 2 minutes, you will get an entire stack created. But each stack, you need to understand what exactly it is and how it works. So creation
okay,
is implementation is not a difficult now. The only thing is you need to understand the each and every building blocks, so it will be easy for you to convince someone the architecture.
okay. Understood. Thank you.
Okay, great. So guys, this is the important statement which I feel we should practice it. So in this session, I'll teach you everything. I'll teach you the how to write a function for the software Python. I'll teach you JUnit. I'll teach you JMeter. I'll teach you Selenium. I'll teach you Jacoco. I'll teach you unit testings. I'll teach you SonarQube for the quality coding. Okay, I'll teach you infra code like Terraform, CI, Jenkins, CD, Ergo CD, and many other tools. Helm, Kubernetes, Ansible, a hell lot of things, whatever I have mentioned, and also running the software, monitoring the software, also new Datadog, Neuralink, Splunk, name it, and you have all the tools actually. So this is the something which you need to practice it. Okay, so dev plus ops is not a DevOps. Mind it. DevOps is not a tool. DevOps is not automation. DevOps is not an access right. DevOps is not only team. What is a DevOps then? DevOps is all about how effectively you communicate with each other. Each other means dev team, QA team, operations team. How well you communicate. So objective, I showed you multiple times. You must remember what is objective. Okay, how effectively you understand each other, how easily integration is there, how that you have a relationship between the dev, QA and operations working together for that goal, and then tools, automation, access right, and teams will come into the picture. So DevOps is not a new technology or a product. It is it's an approach or culture for the software development that seek stability and performance at the same time that it speeds software deliveries to the business. This is DevOps. Okay, so now I have a few more slides also for the DevOps, that if more or less how to transitions and stuff like that. What are the tools we have to use it and all stuff like that. So just I'm ignoring it, not too much, but some of the things which you need to fix. So I'll just go few questions actually. So some of you will be a part of interview process, and then they will say, okay, so let's say I'll give you the ownership to implement the DevOps in my project. So what are the changes you will bring? How we will start this? So we'll say, okay, first of all, we need to empower everyone in the team members. Okay, empowerment, that's what I said, everyone can do everything. Simple. Empowerment means it's not like, okay, you are a dev, you should only do the dev. You are a QA, you should do only the QA. You are operation, you should do only operation. No, it's not like that. You can do everything. You are empowered to do everything based on your wishes. And then, because in DevOps there is no multiple team, there is one team. So accountability is set to the team. Okay, so everyone should be accountable. If any failure is there, it's not like it's not my job. It's not like that. You should say, I'm accountable for it. We all are responsible for the failure. That kind of culture you need to build. You might have seen that while working in the organization. Hey, we completed my work, but other team have not completed the work. Because of that, we are not able to deliver this work, and this and this and this. This is not a DevOps. That's a mindset change I'm talking about. We all are accountable, and if there is any problem, we all be together. We work should be together and work together for that goal as a team, not a multiple team. Not my fault. You cannot say that in a DevOps culture. You have to work on it. Uh, you have to change the mindset. You have to empower each other. So you may be good in something, I may be good in something. We have to integrate, we have to understand, we have to build a relationship. We should help each other. And then that culture will be built, the mindset will be changed rather than fighting with each other. And we have to learn by sharing. You have to trust each other and enforcing the value. So these are some of the things each team should have. And then you have to change the organizations also. What are the things? So organizations should have a clear vision, whether they want DevOps or still Agile. Sometimes organization is not having clear vision, but they start implementing the DevOps. But actually they want to still be in Agile. So that's a dangerous thing. Recognizing the bottleneck. The meaning of this is accept your failures where you are having problems. It's not like manager is saying that, hey, we are great team, everything is great, everything is good, but this project is failing in the market. Client feedback is very worse. So accept the bottleneck, accept the failures, and then change the team structure. So this is a very important one. Most of the team is failing here only. If you really want to implement the DevOps, just reorganize the team structure. There should not be multiple teams. There should not be dev team. Should not be QA team. There is no operation team. Understand that. The moment you say there is a dev team, there is a QA team, and there is an operation team, that means there is no DevOps practices being followed. Because DevOps is a one team, one ownership, one accountability, one process, one practices. All the tools used in the development process should be integrated. All the phases should be integrated. All the practices should be integrated. So it's a reorg. So as Adrian said, he's a software scientist. DevOps is just a reorg. Don't complicate so much of meetings, so much of discussions, so much of training. Your teams are capable enough to do the development, testing, and operation. The only problem which they have, they don't want to work together. So do one thing, keep it in one team. Let's bring it all the people together, and that team you can call it a DevOps team. So DevOps is just a reorg, not a new team to hire. Okay, so these are some of the foundations, building blocks for the DevOps. You have to share the responsibility. So you cannot say, hey, I'm a dev, so I'll do only the dev. No, you have to do the part of the testing also, part of the operations also. If you are a testing team, you have to do the part of the development also, part of operation. That means in a DevOps, you have to share the responsibilities of the work. You can't say I'm not doing that because it's not my work. I have never done it. I was not doing from last 20 years or something like that. You cannot say like that. And then streamlining the process and eliminating the waste. So what's waste? So overproduction waste. That means if you are working on something which is not aligned with the customer, that's overproduction. Useless processes, the processes which is creating a trouble for you to not to practice the DevOps properly, get rid of it. Motions, overstocking, waiting waste, transportation waste, and these other things. So I'm not getting into detail because you don't need right now to get started now. So guys, are you understanding, all of you?
Yes.
Okay, so now you understand at least a high level of DevOps. So how do we achieve this? How do we achieve this? And that is where I would like to show you one image. How to, if someone will ask you, hey, okay, fine, I agree with you DevOps is a cultural changes, changing the mindset of engineers and changing the culture of your team, and then bringing the cultural changes in the team, and then bringing all the tools, automation, integration, and all this place. But how do you go about it? How you will go about it? How can you implement the DevOps? That is where you can say, hey, in order to implement the DevOps, if team are I'm just you know moving to different slides because of I don't want to drag your understanding. So that's important because you should have some key points in your mind for the DevOps. So so if someone will ask you how do we implement that, so what you will say? So for that, let me show you one slide. Yeah, so here is slides. If someone will ask you, hey, okay, fine, I understand that you explained very well about the DevOps. You have to change the mindset, you have to change the culture within a team, you have to reorg, you have to combine all these two teams together and make it one objective. That's very good. Theoretically, it's very good. You explained it well, but how can we go about it, implement it? So then you say, hey, if you want to implement the DevOps, then first bring the agile practices. Agile practices. Agile practices, what you'll do, the development and QA team will work together. Coding, then automated build, automated integration is equal to agile. Then he may say, hey, we are agile from last 10 years. That means we have agile team and then everything is great. Then you say, okay, then this is superb news actually. Then let's integrate the continuous integration. Let's implement the continuous integration. Then he will say, what is a continuous integration? So continuous integration in which you do the coding plus automated build plus automated integration. Remember that I'm adding one keyword, automated. So automated build, automated integration, automated testing. That means as part of the CI process, there should not be any manual intervention after the code commit. Everything should be done automatically. And if you can get this automatically done, that means what you are doing, you are integrating the development team and testing team, and plus you are getting the immediate feedback. There's no manual intervention involved, and there's a multiple tools which you can use it, like a Jenkins or no. So you implement the CI. So they say, okay, wonderful, that's a good thing. You have, let's you have implemented the CI also. After that, what you'll do? Then we'll say, let's focus on the CD. Let's focus on the CD. So then what is a CD? So there's a CD means you have a delivery also and deployment also. So mind it, delivery versus deployment, which I'll share in a few minutes. But delivery, you will do automated release also. Release means the product which is ready for the production. Okay, automated release also. So if you implement the automated release, that means you reach to the continuous delivery, and then you have to focus on the continuous deployment. Continuous deployment means directly to the production. So here your objective should be CD, continuous deployment. That means you can say, hey, if you want to implement the DevOps, some of the fundamental things you have to do. What are the fundamental things? First, change your mindset. Your means all the engineers mindset. So they should be ready to do everything. They should be ready to write the code for the development. They should be ready for writing the code for the testing the product, and the testing for the product, and then CI/CD operation for infra and all blah blah blah. That's the mindset. And then culture team, build the culture of the team. So there should be one team, not multiple teams. That's a mindset, that's a culture. And after that, implement the CI, CD, delivery, and deployment with the help of multiple tools. And DevOps will be implemented same time. Because here what you are doing, after the code commit, automated build, automated integration, automated testing, automated release, automated deployment. That means, see here, everything is automated. So what people are doing? They all are writing a code. This team, DevOps team, is writing code for the product, writing a code for testing the product, writing a code for infrastructure, operations, CI/CD, and security and SRE and all stuff like that. Everyone is busy writing a code, and they all work together. and they all working for the microservices concept architecture, which I explained earlier also, and that's called DevOps. So if someone will ask you how to implement the DevOps, will you be able to answer this or not? Tell me, all of you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the thing. Now, next question they will ask, hey, what is the delivery versus deployment? Okay, what is the delivery versus deployment? So I want to show you one slides from uh, just a second. There's lots of things to learn, but I don't want to feed so much of content theoretically, so you get lost and you cannot explain in easy way. So I don't want to show you everything. Okay, so the delivery versus deployment, I want to show you. See, this is the right image. Okay, only remember this. What is a delivery? So delivery means you have a development, then automation test, all sort of test, and then you do not deploy to the production. That means after the acceptance test, you have a product ready to release, to deploy to the production, but you are not doing it. That's called delivery. That means you have a product for delivery, but you are not deploying it. That's called continuous delivery. Now, continuous deployment means automated automated testing, automated build, automated testing, and automated deployment to the production. That's called continuous deployment. Are you able to understand this? All of you?
Can you explain that
Yes.
one more time, Rajesh?
See, a delivery, the deployment is manual. That means you had a package for delivery. This means ready package. After that successful testing, you had a package, but you did not deploy to the production. Why you did not deploy? Because you have a certain process approval, this, that, and all manual process. Manually, someone say, hey, let's release, then you'll release. But here in a deployment, you don't have anything. If package is passed through the testing, deploy to the production without any approval, automated deployment. Look at the arrow. That's called continuous deployment. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
So this is the way we have to understand this. So now, more or less, I am assuming you have understood the what is a DevOps. Not giving you too much of jargons, because many times people don't need those jargons, but you will get confused with it. So whatever that you wanted to know, I mean, you should know. We are supposed to know at a high level. You know by now. But now, let's say if you want to become a DevOps expert who's giving lectures and lots of other jargons also, then you can look at my some of the recordings in LMS. You have a 4 to 5 hours of recording only on DevOps part actually, so it will help you. Okay, now I want to teach you little bit of fundamental at SRE also. Okay, so SRE session dedicated in depth we'll have on the day when we start the SRE topic. But right now I just want to give you the little bit of glimpse. So I'll tell you one important thing, guys. The important thing is understand that DevOps is failing. Yes, DevOps is failing. Now we'll say why it's failing. It's popular in the market. Yes, it's very popular in the market. But right now, in reality, DevOps is failing because many organizations they have tried to implement the DevOps practices from last 5+ years, 6 years, 10 years, but most of the organization is failed. Yes, that's true. Most of the organization they failed to do the real DevOps. Okay, why? Let me help you to recognize this failure. See, I think most of you are working in the project. Agree with me? In the company, software company. I'm just assuming because based on the introduction, most of you. And the moment you hear dev team, QA team, and operations team, and then DevOps team, that means that's a failure actually. That's a disaster. Why it is disaster? You tell me. I will ask Atul. Why it is disaster? Tell me.
Yeah, because I think the whole concept of DevOps is you have more combined team where people are more flexible to move around their jobs, not have this rigid structure of, having separate teams. So it
Yeah.
goes against the DevOps principle. That's my understanding.
Yes. Yes, true. So that is the problem. So in most of the projects, if you see, they say, "Hey, we have a DevOps team also." And then this is my also my experience. Also, most of the project you go join for the consulting work, and all, then they'll say, "Hey, we have a dev team. This is the QA team. This is the operations team, and this is the DevOps team." And then I'll ask what DevOps team is doing. Then they say they're just configuring the servers and they are doing the some CI/CD automation or something. This is the real present status of DevOps. So actually what has happened, people have not changed their mindset, people have not started working together, the culture of the team is not changed. What they did, just they change the build and release portfolio or tools engineers portfolio to the DevOps portfolio, or monitoring sometime to the DevOps. They simply started using, see, all the they started using all the new tools. You join any project, they are using Jenkins, they're using Terraform, they're using Ansible, they're on Docker, they're in Kubernetes, but none of these are integrated. That was the foundation of the DevOps, right? Integration was the foundation of the DevOps. That means after the code commit till the production, till the automated testings, nothing should be manual. Is it done in your project? Not done. Then how can you say it's a DevOps team, DevOps enabled project? So that's the reason most of the organization, they tried to implement the DevOps but failed badly. Most of the organization. Then that is where the Google came and said, hey, listen, see, DevOps is a very good thing to achieve. It's a dream to have for any organization. If you have a DevOps real practices, then it's a dream to have it in any organization. But reality is something else. We are not able to change the mindset of the engineers, those who are working from last 15 years as a QA or as an infra or as a development, and you suddenly start asking to do everything. They're not willing to change. No matter what you will do, they will not willing. They will learn new technology for sure, but they will not integrate. They will not change the mindset. So that is the failure. Then Google said, let's do one thing. Let's not jump to the DevOps directly. Then people started talking about, okay, what you are suggesting then they said, listen, whatever the lecture I am giving to you to do that, it's not like we have come up with the some discussion and I'm sharing with you that detail. Google said, this we have practiced in our own organization. We have practiced it. We have we have measured the practices, pros and cons we have found out, and then we are suggesting you. That's very impressive, right? Because they have huge cases, correct? So what they're coming up with, they're saying, hey, listen, see, earlier we had a development team and then operation team. When I say development team, that means development plus QA and plus architect. Everyone is coming under the development team. And then operations team who is taking care of the production servers. So that we have a two teams earlier. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's do one thing. These two teams, they have a certain responsibility. What responsibility? So development team, you can say agile team also, by the way. Okay, so certain responsibility. So development team will do the design, development, testing, and acceptance testing, and operations team will support maintenance and capacity planning and all stuff like that. They will only talk, they will only integrate. Integration is important, remember. Integration, relationship building, relationship understanding, which I said is a foundation building block for any success. Okay, so here they said they are integrating only during the delivery. Let's change this. Let's change this. Why you should change this? So I'll give you one example for it. So development team has planned to introduce one feature in the market. Okay, so they design that feature, they develop that feature, they test the feature, their acceptance testing is also done. So now everything is ready for the development team, and for this they spend 1 month of time. Now, when they bring these changes to the operations team, then operations team says, hey, this changes okay, but we don't have infrastructure. We don't have a capacity. We don't have a human resources for maintain this. You don't have this. You don't have that. So I will get it done. Do not to worry, but give me 1 more month for this. I will not immediately accept this. Why? Because they are not aware of that product, how to support, how to troubleshoot, how to run it, capacity planning, this, that, lots of things are there, right? For environment setup and all. So operations team decline this work for immediate release. They say we will do the release, but not now, we'll do after 1 month. So this is what happens in the typical traditional software development cycle. Are you agreeing with me, all of you?
Yes, Rajesh. 100%.
So now that is where Google is coming and saying, hey, let's do one thing. Let's ask the development team and SRE team to work together. See here, there's a very tiny difference between SRE and operations. Look at this here. This is the ops team, and then this is SRE team. So what is the difference? So what Google is saying, suggesting, hey, do one thing. When you start new development activities, design activities, involve SRE team. Means ops team involve as ops team. During the development also, whatever the runtime environment, operating system, configurations, all this runtime environment, whatever you have, involve ops team. During the testing process also involve ops team. And during the delivery also, anyways, you are involving. And same time, ops team is being instructed during the support also involve development team. During the capacity planning also involve development team. So that way integration is happening. So suddenly remember that when the development team is reaching to the acceptance testing and trying to deliver the product, by the time SRE team is saying, oh, we already know all this thing, we had pre-planned already all this work, so now I can do the immediate release. We don't have to wait for 1 month. So it's very simple difference. In SRE team, ops team will remain ops team, but with new mindset. Development team will remain development team with a but new mindset. What is the mindset? So in as part of the SRE process, SRE team should work during the design, development, acceptance testing with the development team, and development team should also work with the during the support and capacity planning with SRE team. So that ops team will become SRE the moment you start working together. Are you understanding, all of you, or no?
Rajesh, I think I'm a little confused here because the whole point of like the DevOps was the same as well, right? So how is
No,
this
no, 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 no,
SRE?
no, no. Here still, remember that here is still two team. They are working together. That means they are sharing the resources, knowledge. They are still two team, two practices, two culture, two mindset, two objective, two different objective. But they are sharing in a more closer way. That's all. In a DevOps, there is only one team actually.
Okay,
Got it?
okay, yeah,
This team will be separate, but when the development team will design something, we'll share that knowledge with SRE team. When the development team will develop something, the runtime environment, languages, all other details, they'll share with SRE team at initial stage only. I'm not saying SRE team will do that. No, SRE team will not do that. Only be a part of that transition. Are you understanding?
And how
yes.
does this involvement happen? Through some
Through the
meetings?
yeah, through meetings, through document sharing, development. See, earlier what is happening, ops team, development team will say, hey, can you give me a little bit of knowledge on the ops team, ops architecture, how you are running. I would like to work with you and see that. Operation team will say, no, 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 it's not allowed. As per the practice is not allowed. But when you are SRE team, then when development team asks some information from SRE team, they would love to share. That's the mindset changes, no? Again,
I
Getting
think
to know?
your figures are like more informative, Rajesh.
Yeah,
I think I got my answer here. Thank you.
yeah.
So the SRE
Okay.
team is more involved right from the beginning, and there is overlap of the skills which helps to deliver it quickly, and there are no gaps when it comes to delivery.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So this is the
And
SRE team.
Rajesh, I have one more thing to ask here. Like in the DevOps description that we went through, can this be like answered as like a lean strategy? Like, because the concepts that ultimately fall into this cycle are all lean, like, no wastage,
Actually,
over processing.
yeah. Actually, DevOps is derived from the lean processes only. So
Okay.
DevOps is become very popular because of in software, and lean is been used in the manufacturing industry. So
Mm-hmm.
same pipeline concept, this initially introduced in the manufacturing industry. That means manufacture the goods at a very high speed in the pipeline. So that same concept has been applied through the DevOps in the software organization.
Okay. Thank you.
So, but one thing, SRE, we have many other stuff also to understand. So, see here, there's a this pictures will help you a little bit later better. So here you see, let me show you. This is the ops team. This is the SRE team, which I shown you, and this is a DevOps team. Everything. There's one team for everything. So all the phases, all the processes, all the tools, all the practices, and all the skill sets are integrated with each other and managed by one team. And you are doing what exactly? You have to decide. It depends on the project. Make
So
sense?
you would have, Rajesh, quick question. So you would have team members who would do different roles. For example, they might be for a week doing just support and then move on to doing operations. Do they work like that? So to manage
Huh, but
both
still
working
you are under one
under
team
one team.
because maybe you are doing the support, but you have a very good knowledge on the development process. Why? Because you are both are working in the same team. I mean, all of you are working the same team under the same umbrella. So there's no so if something is coming to you cannot say, hey, this is not my work, because it's your team's work actually.
Right. Because I was thinking like maybe someone is working on a project and then the shift or whatever you want to call, he moves on to support for that week. Does the development start or the project would stop at that point until he comes back onto the project, or how does that work?
um, Basically what happens,
Sorry, my
whatever
question
the
is it clear? What am
yeah,
Was
yeah,
it
I
clear
understood
what I
that.
was trying to say? Okay, good.
Yeah. So basically, see, there's no as such, uh, which is, you can say, principles which is shared by DevOps, because this is at the high level. Now, on the practical sides of it, let's say some of you are working on the support. She or he is working only on support, that means it's not a DevOps. If she or she is working as part of the support, then it's a DevOps. What I'm trying to say here, let's say sometime he or she is working for support, but next month or so, he will work on the little bit of automation work, automating the support work, maybe writing a run books or as that deployment code or something like that. Code for the deployment, code for the monitoring, code for the security. So it's not like that monolithic work actually. Because what happens, sharing the resources, sharing the skill set is important in the DevOps. But if you are having each and every one is having the linear skill set, then that's not a DevOps again. Correct now? You should be having the overlapping skill set. Correct?
Yeah, thanks.
And responsibilities also. Okay.
One question here, like knowledge will be shared from the beginning, right, with the SRE team. So, like, what kind of knowledge will it be? Like, will they be able to tell like what versions of software should be used? What are the baselines and all?
Yes, this is called knowledge sharing, sharing everything. So you should let's say you are doing a planning, so you should invite them. After that, you should share the complete details of that. They will start preparing. They may ask some question, you have to answer that. That's called integration. It's not like suddenly you are popping one day and saying, hey, we want to deploy this software. It's not like that. So there should not be any blue scenarios for operations. So by the time you reach to them saying that we need to deploy in the production, they should be knowing everything about their product, functionality, issues, runtime infrastructure, monitoring detail, security loopholes, and everything.
So is this a SRE first developed or practiced at by Google?
Yes, they only said they practiced in their own ops team, and they found out lots of benefit has come because of that, and the same thing they shared to the whole world, and now we all are learning SRE.
Okay, so now
Okay.
can we say like going forward, like this might be something that the organizations might try, same like DevOps, since that's starting to not go anywhere because of the acceptance.
Yes, so that's the reason. If you look at this from last 2 years, I would not say 2 years, 1 year. From last 1 year, see, I'll tell you my experience. I've been doing this corporate session from last 6 years, and from last 2016 to 2020, I used to get a lot of DevOps training requirement. Look at the trend. Now, if you look at this from last 1 year, I'm getting hardly one training in a month or 2 months. So, what other training you are getting? So, you are getting SRE training. So now most of the organization they want to implement the SRE, practice the SRE for a few years, and then probably migrate to DevOps. So something like the strategy has changed because of Google this case studies. Understood? So this year I see that lots of popularity in the SRE. So again you have to decide: are you towards the operation side or you are towards the development side? Okay, and then if you're towards the development side, then go for DevOps and MD and something like that, or DevSecOps. If you are towards the always time operation side, then go for SRE, DevOps plus all the extra tools which I'll teach you. Understood, all of you? Okay, so now SRE, lots of things again to discuss actually. It's not only one slide which I showed you, just to help you to visualize how you can start implementing the SRE. But SRE, we have a lots of tenants actually. That means the responsibility of SRE to eliminating toil, managing the SLAs, SLOs, and all stuff like that, SLIs, and the failures. And for that also, there's so many tools are there. So if you look at these tools, which I suggested you and introduced in the morning session, these all tools which will help you, and these tools will help you to manage this one. So in the SRE sessions, when we get started after the DevOps, we'll introduce in the detail. Now, next is DevSecOps. So what is a DevSecOps? So I want to show you only one slide about the DevSecOps. Only one slide that will help you to understand DevSecOps effectively. So DevOps, I assume you understood very well. Okay. So after that, understanding the DevSecOps is also very easy. So let's say what has happened. Many organization has successfully implemented the DevOps. Yes, that's true. Many organization, most of this organization is from the startup world. Okay, those who started the SDLC cycle at the initial stage, that means from last 2 3 years only. So because the engineers they had from the fresher community, or that the people who can change the mindset. It's not like people working with the legacy product. They have no idea about that what is going on in the other part of the world, something like that. So most of the startup, based on my experience what I'm commenting, I have many of the startup have successfully executed the DevOps operation. Then they started asking what to do more, what to do more. Let's say talk about Uber, let's talk about the Ola, let's talk about the Paytm, Zomato, all this organization I'm talking about. So they, many of these organizations, they have implemented the DevOps successfully, not at a organization level but project level, they have successfully done it. So then now they are demanding what should I do next now, and that is where the DevSecOps model become popular. So what is the DevSecOps model? So look at this. This is the DevOps model. This is the one. So here, one team will do the planning, coding, building, testing, releasing, deploying, operation, and monitoring. But what about security? So for this implementing the security, it was a separate team. But now in a DevOps, what we are saying, hey, let's do one thing. Let's merge the security at each page of the SDLC cycle into the DevOps. That means what security practices you may do at a planning level, define the threat model and coding standard. What security implementation you will do at the coding level, static code analysis, build vulnerability scanning, SAST, DAST, whatever you got, what do you call it, penetration testing, compliance validation, code signing validation, monitoring security issues, detecting security issues, responding security issues, and recovery process, and all this thing you can implement after the DevOps. Once you complete the DevOps, then you can implement the security things. And that is where, if you see that, this one which I designed for security, where is that? Somewhere. I think I deleted something. So okay, no problem. So security tools, the one which I showed you, I deleted something. Okay, so if you might have noticed that, look at the agenda. So that one you can see that. So now in the, I'll teach you first one in this. First I'll teach you DevOps, all the tools, all the techniques, and then I'll teach you few practices in the threat modeling, then few practices for the coding standard, then static analysis tool, vulnerability scanning tool, penetration tool, compliance tool, code signing tools, and all other stuff. Okay, so that means what is the DevSecOps? So doing a DevOps and implementing the security practices at the each phase of DevOps is called DevSecOps. Make sense? All of you?
Yeah, makes sense.
So now guys, DevSecOps is also many things to be discussed. I'm not discussing in this session. We have a separate session for it. When we start the DevSecOps batch, maybe after 2 months for you guys, then we'll have a detailed discussion about each and every practices. What are the threat modeling? What are the coding standard? What are the tools, static code analysis, and everything we'll discuss in that session itself. So guys, this is a DevOps plus DevSecOps plus SRE. So overall, I must tell you with my experience, no matter what you do, first of all, you cannot decide now whether you want to become a DevOps or SRE or DevSecOps or what exactly, because most of the time what I have experienced, you've been hired for something, depends on the requirement, you may ask for something else. So learn, try to set your mindset, try to learn at least everything, and then based on your experience, based on your exposure, you will get a deep dive into the specific technology with you know uh, all this over the period of time. Okay, any questions now? Any questions?
No.